Thank you very much. As he mentioned, my name is John Brenneman. I am the president at MOAA Vacations, and we're very excited to be here today and talk to you about everything we can offer. The first thing I always like to do when I speak at an event like this is tell everybody a little bit more about MOAA Vacations, who we are, and what we do. If you were to ask me in one word to describe why MOAA selected us out of 30,000 travel agencies in America to be their official travel agency, that word is service. We provide better service than any other travel agency, and the easiest way for me to explain what we do that makes me say that statement unequivocally is the fact that we offer travel on a satisfaction guaranteed basis. There is not another travel agency in this country that makes that commitment. And what we mean by that is exactly what it says. If you book travel through us, we guarantee you will be satisfied. Now, we've been doing this for a long time, in a number of years, and we have a number of incidents that have come up. We obviously had a very difficult year last year. I can tell you everyone who booked through us, through all the events of last year, their flights, their hotels, their cruises, their tours, every one of them walked away probably not happy that they weren't able to travel, but definitely satisfied with the service we provided. To the extent that there was a number of people who didn't book through MOAA Vacations who contacted MOAA National, the Membership Services Department, and were looking for assistance with the problems they were encountered, and we actually resolved all of those issues as well. So that's our number one commitment to you, is that satisfaction guarantee. A lot of people always like to ask about prices. You know, do you guys have the best prices? Do you have the best prices? And what I always like to say, and I know this is the opposite order of the slides behind me, but is there anybody in this room who would be satisfied if they purchased a trip and found out that they could pay less elsewhere? The answer is simple, no. So, lowest price guaranteed, yes. And a lot of agencies offer something similar to that. The satisfaction guarantee is the one I always like to start with because that's just such a unique proposition. But we actually go a step further than that. And that's the exclusive amenity program. And what that is that's when we actually go to the cruise lines and the tour companies and negotiate an additional amenity for MOAA members that is on top of that lowest price guarantee. In a little bit, we're going to talk about some Uniworld river cruises. And for those who haven't been on a river cruise, I'm going to talk about that a little bit more. But they're one of the companies that we've negotiated with. And I can tell you right now, on any Uniworld river cruise that you go on, you will receive a $300 onboard credit. That's beyond the lowest price guarantee. And we have this with 22 different vendors right now. And it's an array of different things. On most of the tour companies, since they can't do onboard credit, it's an additional discount. On a lot of the cruise lines, you know, we're talking about river cruises. You got like MOAA Ways, they offer a $200 onboard credit. Avalon River Cruises offers a $100 per person onboard credit. And we also have the ocean cruises that do it, like Oceana offers a $200 onboard credit. So we actually go a step further than having the best price. We like to say we offer the best value. And then the other thing we always talk about is the groups. It's the opportunity to travel with fellow MOAA members both locally and from across the country. And we have, from any given time, we have hundreds of group departures that are available. And I can tell you that when working with the sales team at our office, over half the MOAA members who call and want to book a trip will specifically ask, is there a group departure that I could join? So there are people that, you know, have the flexibility of being retired, that they can go whenever they want. So yes, they want to go to Alaska, but they would prefer to go to Alaska with a group of their fellow MOAA members. So as I said, over half the people ask for it. Actually, a higher percentage than that actually end up going on group departures. But what I'm going to talk about today is what I like to call groups on steroids. And these are our groups where we go actually even further beyond everything we've talked about so far. And the term we have for these are the signature groups. And this is a term that MOAA coined for these. We did the first of these in 2019. And what we did is we basically took that concept of going on a group departure and said, what can we do to make that even a better experience? So the first part about these is they are exclusive departures. So we are going to talk today about trips that we have where you go on a river cruise. For those who've been on before, they're for the most part smaller ships. There's a limit to how big they can be, so they can go through the docks depending on what river they're on, where we actually take the entire ship. So everyone who is on that cruise will be a MOAA member, or a guest of a MOAA member, obviously. And it's such an added experience that you have if you travel on one of these because of the camaraderie. And the way I like to talk about it is if someone was to show up at this meeting tonight and it was the first time they showed up, they wouldn't know anyone. But you have that ability that you can just start a conversation with anyone in the room because of the shared background. So basically what I like to say is when you get on the ship, everyone on that ship is either a friend or just a friend you haven't met yet. And I can tell you they are far and away the highest rated thing we have done. Everyone who goes on them just raves about them because it's our group. It is the MOAA cruise. The other thing that, I mentioned guests. You can bring friends and family on anything that we do. So if you want to book a hotel or if you want to go on a cruise, you're more than welcome to bring your friends and family along, as many as you'd like. We also provide that on the signature group. So it's only open to MOAA members and their guests, but we've done these before where someone will bring their brother, they may bring their son and their daughter-in-law. You can bring as many cabins you want, but they can only go if the MOAA member goes. That's always the key. You can't, say, hey, my neighbors want to go, but I can't make it. But it's open. So that's what we talk about, the exclusivity of it. One of the other things we get by having exclusive departures is the fact that we basically purchase the ship for that week, so we can do anything we want. So we always have special events on board. On the 3 cruises we're going to talk about in a few minutes, everything I'm going to say is going to apply to all 3 of those. And the first thing is we always have a welcome reception. That's an opportunity to meet all of the other MOAA members and the guests that are on board, and we have a farewell reception at the end of the cruise. But we also have the ability to do exclusive shore excursions, which are of interest to MOAA members such as yourselves, that they might not offer on that cruise. And as we go through the 3 departures I'll get to in a minute, I'll talk about some of those. The other thing that we always talk about these things is the rarity of them. We only do 2 of these a year. So whereas we have hundreds of groups during the course of a year, in 2021 we have 2 signature groups. Next year we have 2 signature groups. So they are rare in that we do them. They are escorted by both MOAA leadership and MOAA staff. And we'll talk about that as we kind of go through this. But we do that to make sure it's a stress-free environment. So we've all been on cruises before, but on this particular instance, if you have an issue, you don't have to wait in line, and there typically isn't lines on these, but there's someone you can go to who will help you with anything that you can do. MOAA Vacations is also there as well. We're not always on the ship. For example, when we did the cruises in 2019, which were Paris and Normandy, he drew the short straw, but Mike Tyrell, who's our VP, actually went over to Paris for 3.5 weeks. And so he was in Paris because we actually did the first signature group we did. We announced the departure, and it sold out within a week. So we did add a second departure. So he was over there for the whole 3.5 weeks during both of those sailings. He's fluent in French, and so he was there to make sure people got their luggage, people got to the ship safely, and it's just an added, completely stress-free is what we strive for. So the 3 signature groups we're going to talk about are all on Uniworld River Cruises. I mentioned them earlier as any cruise you go on, they have the $300 onboard credit. And so what I'd like to do before we get into the actual departures that we have scheduled for 21 and 22 is we have a short video that we are going to show to give you guys just a quick overview of who Uniworld are and what they offer. So Steve, if you want to go ahead and start that for us. Thank you.
Like the world's most admired masterpieces, every Uniworld cruise is one of a kind. But our story began long before our unique ships ever set sail, thanks to our sister brand, the 5-star Red Carnation Hotel Collection. Years ago, Red Carnation led to an inspired idea. How could we bring the experience of staying in the world's best hotels to the rivers? From there, the Uniworld Boutique River Cruise Collection was born. From the moment you step on board any of the 17 ships, you'll notice that unique is what we do best. Every ship is a work of art on water, complete with handcrafted furniture, commissioned exclusively for Uniworld, custom-made fabrics and fixtures and original artwork from the likes of Picasso and Matisse. We feature the most professionally trained and tenured staff on the rivers, but the one thing that sets our team apart the most is their genuine passion and love of hospitality. We take care of it all because we've included it all, with ultra-inclusive amenities that take your cruise from great to grand. Dining on board is an art form, and our chefs have perfected their creative technique over the years. Our culinary philosophy is guided by a farm-to-table approach that serves you 5-star caliber meals made from fresh ingredients, locally sourced from the destinations you visit. Our cruises feature signature recipes from B. Tolman, founder of our sister Red Carnation Hotel Collection and author of the highly acclaimed cookbook, A Life in Food. To think your cruise is this wonderful before ever setting foot ashore, but the best may be yet to come with your choice of included excursions designed to showcase the authentic culture, sights and cuisine of the places you'll visit. Make today a masterpiece with the world's best and most awarded luxury river cruise line.
So hopefully that gave you just kind of a brief view of the Uniworld product. They are a boutique cruise line. I think you kind of got a look at the decor they have. They actually have millions of dollars worth of artwork on their ships fleet-wide. So it is a fantastic experience. So real quick, I mentioned we have 3 of them. In 2021, we have a signature cruise for the European holiday markets. The cruise is from Nuremberg to Vienna. And one of the things I always like to talk about for those who haven't been on river cruises before, and particularly the river cruises we put together, is the difference between the ocean cruises. And we like to say that your vacation begins the minute you depart the airport. So you saw sort of what some of the inclusions are, but when you depart the airport, you actually picked up the airport and brought to the ship. A lot of you probably cruise and you're like me, and the way your vacation begins is you sit in a terminal and you wait to board the ship. That will not happen on our signature groups. And this applies to all the cruises we're going to talk about today. The minute you arrive at the ship, you're welcome to board. They take your luggage for you. They check you in. Depending on how early you get there, and for Europe, a lot of people will do overnight flights, so you get there early in the morning. So if your stateroom isn't ready, they invite you to the lounge. All of your drinks are included, so when you go to the lounge, your vacation has begun because you've now boarded the ship, so you're welcome to go to the bar and have a cocktail. If you get there early enough for lunch, you're invited to have lunch on board. And since they have your luggage, you can show up at the ship, they'll take your luggage, and then you can disembark the ship and come back on whenever you'd like. So, as we say, we like to have your vacation start as soon as you get to the airport. After everybody gets in their rooms that evening, there will be the safety drill or the muster drill, followed by which we'll have our welcome aboard celebration, and your vacation continues, because it doesn't really begin, it continues from the moment you stepped on board. You have the same thing at the end of the cruise. So we're all used to the fact that, that the typical ocean cruise is everybody has to be out of their cabin at 7. They tell you to go to a public area. You stand around and you keep praying, when are they going to call Purple 12? So I can get off the ship, but you don't get off the ship and leave. You get off the ship and wander around this cavernous room looking for your luggage. Okay, so it's basically the same process of embarkation, but in reverse. So you get up in the morning, after breakfast, they are going to have to ask you to please vacate your stateroom because they need to turn them for the next sailing. But once again, you can go to the lounge, and you can wait in the lounge until it's time to depart from your flight. Your transfers are included. If you have a later afternoon departure, you're more than welcome to have lunch on board once again. You are a guest, and your vacation continues until you need to go to the airport for your flight. Pres and posts, we handle those. I was going to talk about those in a little bit, but I'll bring them up before. If you have a post excursion, then you can stay on the ship until it's time to leave for that. The other thing I want to mention about the European holiday markets is we talked about MOAA leadership. We are very honored and proud that on this departure, both MOAA's president and CEO, Lieutenant General Atkins, will be on the sailing, as will the current board chairman, General Sharp, will be on board. So we're excited that both of them are going to be on board. We talked about the exclusive excursions. A typical European markets cruise or a holiday markets cruise pretty much just spends time each port of call going to the holiday markets. But we know with everyone's shared military background, we added an exclusive excursion at the start of the cruise, and it is actually a World War II historical tour of Nuremberg. And all the excursions on these sailings are included for free. It's part of the package that we're getting into. They mentioned it quickly in the video. The starting price on this is $34.99. That's for a 7-night cruise. And with that, we'll just scroll into the next one. In 2022, we have 2 cruises. The first it's Holland and Belgium during tulip time. And this is when both of those countries are just going to be awash in color. It is an unbelievable time to go. It's a very popular time to go. This is actually a little bit longer cruise. It's April 26th to May 5th. So it's actually 10 days instead of 8. Same thing we discussed before about boarding and disembarkation. And I just want to talk a little bit more about the excursions. The excursions are optional, but they will have excursions in every port of call. In a lot of ports of call, they will have both a morning excursion and an afternoon excursion, and you're invited to go on both, none, or one. It's entirely up to you what you join. On some days, there'll be a choice of excursions, so you get up in the morning and it's like which excursion you'd like to do. On this particular cruise, we have 2 exclusive excursions, for lack of a better word. The first one is when you're in Amsterdam. It is an exclusive visit to the Hermitage Museum. And what we mean by the exclusive visit is there will be an excursion, optional, but we assume everyone's going to go on this one, where the bus will take you to the Hermitage, and the Hermitage will be not open to the public. So the only people in the museum will be the people on our ship. So it allows you to not only see the museum in a less crowded environment, but for those who've gone to, who've done a lot of extensive travel, we actually can get through the entire museum much quicker because it's just our group moving through. Now, people can go through at their own pace. It's not like we're going to rush people through, but the fact that there's no crowds. The other thing is I don't know if anybody's familiar with Floriade. It is a once-in-a-decade botanical show. It will be taking place during our cruise. We will have an excursion that will take everyone to the Floriade if they'd like to go to it. And countries around the world have expositions there. Because of the timing of the cruise, it's only a half-day excursion. But I mentioned before about the pres and posts. But if anybody wanted to stay longer, you're more than welcome. We'll help you with the pres and the posts and anything that you might want to do. This one is $44.99 is the starting price. For the 2 countries. And I'm going to get more, and I'm sure people having questions as we go through this, but we'll get to that in a few minutes. And then the final one we have in 2022 is special in a couple of ways, and that is going to be the Douro River. So we're going to sail through Portugal, far and away one of the most popular river cruise destinations to go to. It does have one excursion that's available if you'd like to go to Spain. But the river itself is just in Portugal. This is actually, we are doing this in conjunction with the MOAA charities. So the MOAA Scholarship Fund and the MOAA Foundation are both co-sponsoring this. So it is a fundraiser for those charities. And it's one we're really excited about. We do have at the end of the cruise itself, when you see the information, there is an optional 3-day Lisbon extension. And this is where I wanted to talk a little bit more about the excursions. When we did the first signature group, it was a 7-night Paris and Normandy. The majority of the people did a pre or a post. In fact, a good number of the people did actually back-to-back trips. I mean, we had one group of people, I think there was 3 couples that after they did the 7-night cruise, they went to Italy and did an Italy tour. I know on the sailing that I was on, there was actually a couple that did like a canard, British Isle tour before they came to the cruise. So absolutely want you to know this is your vacation, and so we will design your vacation however will make it the most enjoyable to you. One of the things we hear all the time, the MOAA members that go to Europe, and to a lesser extent Asia, but is the people that want to go and visit friends they have from when they were stationed there, or they want to go see things on their own. We can help as much or as little as you'd like. When we talk about the airfare, you can do airfare on your own. I know there's a lot of people that use points, or they have some kind of affiliation through the Air Force or something like that, or for whatever reason want to do their own air, just let us know. On the flip side, if you want help with your air, we can help with your air. We're more than happy to do it for you. We have an air department. And then if you want to go early and do another trip, we can help with that, or if you just want to go early and see friends and family. So the key point I want to make on this is it's your vacation. So if you want to do something before or after or during, we can certainly work with you to put that together. So I think now we go to the slide which is the all-inclusive basis. And they kind of went through this earlier in the video, and this is kind of a list. You can go through and see everything's included. We talked about some of this before. It starts out with your transfers from the airport to the ship. It includes its unlimited beverage package. Of course, it includes all the meals that are on board. All the excursions are included. They have them every single day. For those who want to bicycle, and I've been on a couple of their cruises, one of the things I didn't mention when I talked about the day your disembarkation, if you're going to have a long flight home, it's nice to get out and get a little exercise. You get up in the morning, you have breakfast, you go for a bike ride, get a little exercise in, and those are available every day. So any day you get off the ship that you want, you can take advantage of those. One of the great things about river cruising is the cruises actually dock city center. So if you have a morning excursion, you can get up in the morning, have your coffee, go for a walk to wherever you want, come back, get on the excursion. When the morning excursion ends, they bring you back to the ship so you can have lunch on board. Lunch is included on board, or you can eat there in town. Okay, so then in the afternoon, you go on another excursion. At the excursion's over, they bring you back to the ship. You can have dinner on board. And a lot of the ports of calls on these cruises, they actually just sail during dinner. So you get back on board, people freshen up, the ship will actually set sail for the next city that's down the ways a little bit. And so after dinner, you can actually get off the ship again if you'd like and go into town. So it's a very flexible way to go, and it's something that if you haven't experienced river cruising, it keeps growing in popularity. I'm sure you see it all the time. So it's easier a lot of times when I talk about all-inclusive is I always just sit there and say, these are designed so that from the moment you're picked up to the airport to the minute that you get off the ship and they drop you back at the airport, assuming you're not doing a pre and post, you do not have to spend a penny if you don't want to. And it's often easier just to talk about what's not included and where you can spend your money if you're on board, since everything's included. And keep in mind, every single cabin will have a $300 onboard credit, or $150 per person if you guys split it that way. So if everything's included, where can I spend my money? Okay, so the first thing is if you look at the all-inclusive on the unlimited beverage package, it's beer, fine wine, spirits, and of course specialty coffees and waters and sodas and those types of things. There are some what they call ultra-premium liquors that are not included that they have along for those who want it. And the easiest way I always like to explain this, and if you've seen any of the webinars that I've done before, is Jim Beam. If you want Jim Beam on board, you can get Jim Beam Black, or you can get Jim Beam Red, and it's included. If you want Jim Beam Blue, which I think is $85 a shot, it is not included, but they'll certainly sell it to you if you want it. So you can get like, what, 1 2/3 of those. The other thing is they will have some premium shore excursions, and most of the premium excursions, for example, when we did Paris and Normandy, they had a sidecar through Paris excursion. So you had one guy on a motorcycle that would drive you around, sort of like, think of a very kind of unique Uber driver, for lack of a better term. But then two people could be in a sidecar. So there are excursions that you can purchase. And then the last thing we kind of talk about is wine. It is fine wine at dinner, all you want. But sometimes on special occasions, people want to get a nice bottle of wine while they're there. They might want to get a bottle of champagne if they're celebrating. So they do have a wine list that you can purchase from. But I always want to mention to people that, you know, myself and a lot of people that travel like to try the local cuisine, for lack of a better word. So for example, when you're in Porto, Portugal, where we're starting the Douro River cruise, Porto is named, in effect, for port wine. So in Porto or any of the cities that you're in, you can get off the ship, grab yourself a bottle of wine and bring it back and have it at dinner. They don't charge a corkage fee or anything, so you're more than welcome to get bottles on shore if you don't want to purchase one on board, or if there's something specifically that you want to try. I'm going to tell you from experience, you grab a couple of bottles and bring them to dinner, you'll be the most popular person at your table. And so there's also they do laundry on board. I know a lot of hotels do that. That's not included. So if for some reason or other you had clothes that you felt needed to be cleaned, the other thing people often ask us about is what's the attire? You know, what do we wear? The beautiful thing is since MOAA has the ship, MOAA decides what the attire is for that week's sailing, and I can tell you it's almost always just casual attire. You know, jacket if you want to wear it. Obviously on something like Danube holiday markets, we're probably going to see a lot of guys wearing a jacket to dinner. When we're in Portugal in June, you probably won't see a lot of guys wearing jackets at dinner. So we always want to bring that up. And then they have a gift shop. And I will tell you, a lot of you will end up shopping at the gift shop because you have your $300 and you haven't spent it on anything yet. So you're either going to get yourself, get a nice pair of earrings for the one you love, or you're going to get like a Lolo jacket or something like that. But please spend the money. We went to a lot of effort to get everybody that $300. So you want to make sure that you spend it. Okay, so that's really quick, the three signature groups. If we go to the final slide, what we have here is on the left side is actually a picture of the website. So on all the signature groups, we actually have a website designed just for that signature group. And I don't know if you can read it because the tabs are really small, but we have 7 different tabs of information. So it has pricing and accommodations. So not only does it show you price for the different accommodations, but it'll show a picture and a description of every type of accommodation you have on the ship. You have a day-to-day itinerary which goes in detail what you're going to do that day, shows all the excursions that are there, an all-inclusive tab, it shows everything that's included on it, and you can keep going through. It has the terms and conditions, it has the safety protocols, and of course the all-important Book Now form, which all of you need to access. No, I'm just kidding. So if you go to moavacations.com, which is our URL, on the very center of that homepage, you will see where it says signature groups. You can click on that, and then that will take you to any of these groups. So that will answer any question you might have on any of the signature groups that we have planned for 21 and 2022. I can tell you we're already working on the 2023 trips. For the 2 departures we're going to have then, we will probably announce that in July of this year. We do have a signature group on the Mississippi River that's departing on July 17th. I know at least one person in the room is on that sailing because she mentioned earlier today she was on that. But by the time that sailing goes, we'll actually have the 2023 departures listed as well. So with that being said, that's really kind of my quick 20-minute overview of what the signature groups are and a little bit about MOAA Vacations. If anyone has any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them for you at this time.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
We booked for Holland 2 months ago. It got canceled. We booked again this year. It got canceled. So now we have e-credits. Do you all do e-credits, or if something happens?
The question was, is they purchased Holland and they have e-credits. So if you have e-credits, you didn't purchase it through us, correct?
Right.
Okay. So I'm not really sure what e-credits mean. So
You don't get your money back.
okay, so yeah, so then that's she said that means you don't get your money back. So what I would ask is if you could contact me and I will see if we can't contact the vendor on your behalf to see if we can get you a cash refund instead of e-credits. Our belief is, and has been through this entire process, and there was real problems with the airlines when they first started canceling flights, basically telling people that we're going to give you a credit instead of a refund for your flight. My belief is, and I can tell you everyone I've talked to seems to go with this, if you purchase something and they cancel it, they should give you your money back. And we had a lot of vendors who, when we originally called them, told us that, well, we're not doing cash refunds. I will tell you, every single person who contacted me, I got a cash refund. So hopefully you're in good relations with your travel agency. It helps to have them on the phone. The easiest way to do it is for you, your travel agent, and myself to call the vendor, and we will make it clear to them that they did not provide what you purchased, so they should give you your money back. And then you can use that money to go on European holiday markets, and I look forward to seeing you in Nuremberg, because I will be there for the departure of that sailing. Oh, we're doing Holland and Belgium next year. Yeah, it should be fantastic. Any other questions? Okay, real quick, I always, typically I get a question, so I'm going to talk about COVID real quick. I hate to talk about it, but it's kind of the thing in the room. I can tell you what, we talked about 3 Uniworld cruises, so I can tell you the current COVID protocol that Uniworld has in place is you must have one of 3 things to board the ship. You need to be vaccinated, you need to have a negative COVID test within 72 hours of boarding the vessel, or within the past 90 days you need to have a positive test. That's pretty straightforward on all their sailings, not just the sailings that we have. I always like to say that the safety of MOAA members is our primary concern when we do this. I'm sure you can imagine that when we have MOAA leadership and MOAA staff on board, that their own safety, and even more important to them, is the safety of the members. So that's our primary concern. There are some countries that are having their own protocols above and beyond that, so it's kind of on a country-by-country basis. We do know that Viking just announced that they were going to start cruising to Iceland, and whereas Viking has with their COVID protocols, which are pretty much the same as Uniworld's, Iceland itself has a couple of rules that you must adhere to in addition to that. It's too many countries to talk about, and it's ever changing. I mean, we've had so much change in just the last couple of weeks. It's always good to ask your consultant. Can tell you, I have Steve Matthews, who's one of our professional consultants here with me today. But if you call and you talk to anybody in our office, they should be able to tell you what the protocols are currently for every country. I mean, the thing we kind of run into, and one other thing I should mention, which I forgot, is if you look at that little kind of screenshot of the signature group on the left side of that screen, is the fact we've already done webinars, and some of you may have attended some of these, for every signature group we have. So in addition to going to the website and being able to see all the information, you're more than welcome to click on that. You'll see me and Ashley Zaldivar, who works with Uniworld Cruises, who will go through, we actually go through the cruise day by day in a lot more detail, because we take an hour on each excursion, and I was told I couldn't talk for 3 hours. That's correct still, right? Can't talk for 3 hours. But no, so we really go through, and we go through it in fine detail, each one of them. We have a Q&A at the end. But as I always like to say, just give us a call. I mean, our sole job as MOAA's official travel agency is to help you with your travel, and that's what we'd like to do. So we all assume that eventually we're going to be back to normal. It's just how quickly we're going to get there. But it's amazing to me how quickly we went from mask mandates everywhere to now basically, on an honor system, if you're vaccinated, you no longer have to wear a mask. And I am, by the way, fully vaccinated. I have my card if anyone wants to see it. With that being said, Steve and I both will be around afterwards. Steve's got some information he's going to drop off at all the tables. We have flyers on all 3 of those trips. Obviously, we can't put as much information on a flyer as we can a website. So once again, if you look at the flyer, you want more information, either call Steve or just go to the website for those who are web savvy or like those types of things, and you can look up any information you want. We pretty much designed the websites hopefully to answer any questions you might have outside of I want to go into Nuremberg 2 days early and I want to stay at such and such hotel.